Hi, this is Boris. Welcome to another episode of Sketchman Draw. Today we're going to talk about buildings, and so of course, when you talk about buildings, you have to talk about perspective. I've done a video about perspective, so you can find that on top here. I'll try to put it on top. At least the way I understand perspective, you can go check that video out. I just took some books, placed them on a table, and then I just moved the camera to sort of explain how the 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, and 3-point perspective work. So today we'll be looking at 1-point perspective because it's the simple way to start drawing buildings. So again, these words, you don't need to, these words have been invented not to complicate things. These words have been invented to teach other people, right? So for example, horizon line. Okay, what is the horizon line? The horizon line is where your eye line is. Okay, so just take a piece of paper. So I'm using a HB pencil and an eraser and a ruler. And so let's just say that this is our horizon line, right? So the horizon line is, so depending on your scene, is the point where you lift your, so this is your eye line, and if you lift your head, you'll be here, and if you put your head down, you'll be here in this area, okay? Sometimes the horizon line might not be visible, but I assure you it's always there, right? So looking at pictures, trying to draw pictures and giving some practice will help you find out where the horizon line is. Okay, so next one, I'm going to define the vanishing point. The vanishing point is where all the lines, the parallel lines, converge. Okay, so actually, now that we have the horizon line, I'm just going to do something here just to show you the principle of perspective. So I've drawn two parallel lines, right? I mean, parallel meaning if I continue these lines, they will never touch. They will just go like this, like the sides of the road. Now, if I take this, so imagine, and then if I do this, so you might notice that this space looks bigger because it's close to us than the space here. Okay, do you see that? Yeah. So the more you get close to this, the more it gets bigger, and so the same thing will happen if we are on the other side. Okay. So this is, I mean, this will help you. Sorry, there's like a paint there. This will help you understand basically that why it looks like that when you look at a road or when you look at buildings, right? And for example, we're going to be drawing a building and windows are unless there's like a really like a special architecture, like a really special building, the windows tend to be the same size, the same height and width, right? So which means that if you're looking straight at a building, the windows will be like this, right? They will fit into this between these two lines. But then when you put it like this, so then the lines that you have to draw are not straight lines, but sort of lines that converge to a point. So that's the point. So let's just choose randomly here. Okay. Let me erase the other line just to avoid confusion, because digitally there are tools now, the perspective rulers. So for example, in the software that I use, which is Clip Studio Paint, they do have perspective rulers. You can also use them, but I feel more comfortable doing, for example, when I do comics, I feel comfortable doing backgrounds on paper. So we're just going to, okay, what's the angle going to be? So like I said, when I flip the paper, the sheet of paper to show you, If so let's say we're going to draw one building, right? The closer you are to the other side, the more the bigger will the angle will be. Okay, so for example, if you're looking from quite far away, it will look like this. Okay, but if you're really close, it will look like this. So what's happening? This is the road. So let me write that road. And here we will draw our building. So when we were talking about windows, like the height of the windows, we were talking about horizontal lines, right? Now, for the vertical lines, they're not going to be impacted because we are just looking at a one-point perspective. The horizontal line might change if you're drawing two-point perspective, three-point perspective, and more complex angles. Okay, but for the moment, like I said, we're just going to do one-point perspective. And if you get more comfortable, you can do there's no real. So this will be the two sides of the building, and the side of the building will be parallel to the horizon. Okay. Just making sure. I need to get a. There are actually I have ordered a parallel square, which is a square that you can. Sorry, a ruler that you can use. Why am I saying parallel square? A parallel ruler. So these are the horizontal lines and the vertical lines. I will teach. I mean, like sometimes I don't go through this process. So I was inspired by how movies use miniatures. So sometimes when I want to do a scene and I'm not really sure about the angle, I just use books or whatever I have, like boxes or like for example this tea box or whatever, and I place them how I want the scene to look like, and then I take a picture and then I just change those boxes into buildings. Well, I can do another video on that. So we've sorry about that, it's just loading. So like I said, everything is going to converge into the vanishing point. So let's draw a row of windows. So and of course, after you've drawn them, you don't need these. Okay. So now the windows will be, of course, let's just do. So, okay. So now, for example, you have, okay, let me get a little bit closer. Now you have this building, right? Now, of course, it just looks like a box. Now, a real building will have details. Now, this depends on what kind of building you're trying to draw. So, if you're trying to draw like more, let's say, European buildings, maybe there will be these little. But yeah, once you have that that grid, you can go in and I go freehand because it gives that dynamic look for my comic book backgrounds. Otherwise, it looks too stiff. And I mean, I know it's an object, but I like to look. I want it to look a little bit dynamic. So I don't know, for the roof, something like this. So we do the horizon, and then we define the vanishing point. So sometimes, of course, the vanishing point can be out of the frame, but the principle is the same, which means everything will converge there. And then I'll draw lines. I'll create this grid. So it really depends, like which picture you're drawing. So you need to look at how many rows of windows there are in the building that you're trying to draw, and then sort of plan that out. And then once you've established the grid, you can go in and, I mean, either use the ruler or you can just freehand if you're comfortable drawing straight lines. I like to have paper free like this so that I can, because I'm more comfortable drawing like straight lines like this. So it allows me to move the paper around and do straight lines. So it really depends on you, but the process is the same. The principles are the same, because if you don't respect the principles, it would not look real. Okay, so again, this I can continue, but essentially I can just draw some details that so it really depends on the picture you're trying to draw. Okay, so that's just a quick tutorial on how to draw buildings with 1-point perspective. Again, go check out my video on the different perspective, 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspective that I've done. Hope you like this video. Stay tuned for more, and of course, as always, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on the videos that I upload. And until next time, this is Boris for Sketchman Draws signing off.